Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Between Science and Superstition. Not Twilight Zone this week, but The Lighthouse.
Bro, did you know it's not gay if you fight afterwards?
No, it's not.
They're definitely like they're about to kiss and then they fought, so it's not gay.
I was really disappointed by that. I kind of wanted more.
That's because Film Squirter made this movie out to be the gayest movie, and it's like in the closet gay.
Every line in this movie should be no homo, though.
This movie is basically just Greek mythology, so it's not really spoilers, but if you don't know Greek mythology and you don't know anything about this movie, we will be talking at length about various things that happen in this movie. We're basically going to talk as if you've already seen it or you don't care about spoilers. So know that going forward. Leaving the theater, I was comfortable talking about aesthetics and technique. So it's like I was able to look at this and go, oh, this is filmed really well. They do interesting stuff with the aspect ratio, and the black and white I think is relevant. But plot-wise, I was like, I needed some lines connected because I don't know anything about Greek mythology.
I wouldn't have never gotten Greek mythology out of this, but it makes a lot more sense, right? Like my first reaction was just like almost speechless. I think in regards of horror, it's perfect. I kind of wish I saw this like October because this kind of fits really well.
I didn't see The Witch. Is this like, how is this? Does it feel like his style? Eggers, is that his name?
I think so. Yeah. The Witch is like its own thing, but in regards of like what he brings to the table for horror, it's there.
Because this is kind of like the year of seconds. So it's Us, Midsummer, and The Lighthouse. So it's like it's kind of the year of not sequels, but second installments.
I really love this movie though. Like I like The Witch, but I really loved The Lighthouse.
I guess just to give like the overview of the plot before like dive into everything specifically.
Right.
It's just two dudes who refuse to admit that they're gay.
So these guys are lighthouse keepers that were on a duty to watch, this particular lighthouse for, was it weeks or months or?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. Through the course of time, like that was their job to be in this lighthouse. And then
I think William Dafoe always runs this lighthouse and he gets like a new guy.
And Robert Pattinson, who's the new guy, like comes in for work and stuff.
And Defoe is a higher role, so he kind of makes Pattinson do all the stuff that he doesn't want to do. Over enough time of being isolated and lying all the time and driving each other mad and being kind of gay, they eventually clash 100% when I guess Pattinson realized that Defoe might have killed the guy prior, but Pattinson is also lying because he took some other guy's identity. It's a whole thing, but ultimately Pattinson wants to see what is in the light of the lighthouse, and Defoe is like, no, fuck you, so they fight, and then Pattinson goes up. The end. I feel like it's just easiest to explain this movie by literally just quoting the Greek stuff, because Robert Pattinson is Prometheus. And Prometheus is a god that wanted the fire that was at the top of Mount Olympus. I think the fire represents knowledge. You have like similar stuff with the apple and Garden of Eden for the Bible. But Prometheus wants to get the fire and share it with humans. He gets the fire, he does so, and then he's punished for the rest of his life by being chained to a rock and having a bird eat his liver every day. And that mirrors kind of one for one with Pattinson, where he goes up to the lighthouse and then he opens up the hatch to see what's in the light. And you have like probably the most horrifying image of the year with Robert Pattinson screaming.
Yeah.
With
and like his
blasted
ending
out
was
audio.
Also...
So you have, he gets to see what's in it, and then he falls down the spiral stairs. The spiral stairs can represent time, shoot upward. Someone going around a spiral staircase, it kind of just looks like they're going on forever. And then the last scene is Pattinson laying with his innards out, being eaten by the seagulls. So it's like literally frame by frame the Prometheus story.
And then William Dafoe's character represents Proteus, who was the son of Poseidon, who was a shapeshifter. Shapeshifter. Yes. So, because throughout the movies, like constantly changing as himself, and then like a weird like octopus like version of himself.
Proteus is seen as the old man, like mythology's first old man, and he's the keeper of knowledge. And that knowledge, if you combine it with the Prometheus story, is he guards the light. There's other mermaids have existed in a lot of different folklore, but you could most compare it to the Greek with sirens. So Robert Pattinson fucking a mermaid is the siren's call, where if you go to the call, bad shit happens afterwards. So there's a lot of like very one-to-one Greek stuff happening. There's a
lot of like interesting and really there's a lot of good imagery in this. I love it.
Like mermaid pussy.
Oh yeah.
It was someone's job to like sculpt a mermaid vagina.
Good job, because honestly, I was into it. That's a really good vagina.
I did want to touch on, I mentioned I felt confident in talking about the aesthetics and techniques and stuff like that. So there is, this movie is shot on like old ass cameras and old ass film. And they have an aspect ratio that's almost a square. I think it's 1.19 to 1. So that keeps the frame like real small. And it's also in black and white. And those two things combined, I think, create very interesting visuals, because you have during the night, there would be a scene where William Dafoe and Robert Pattinson are sitting at a table by like lantern light. So the edges would seem almost non-existent because it's so dark because of the black and white. So you are able to create this effect of just like there is no frame. It just goes on forever. But in contrast to that, during the day, when, you know, everyone's stressed out from their work and all this stuff, you have to fit so much into a tiny frame that it almost feels claustrophobic. So you can simultaneously, with the same aspect ratio in black and white, create an endless frame and also a super claustrophobic frame.
It makes total sense if you're going to do this Lovecraftian sailor horror story. It's gonna be dirty and gross and just cold, and black and white just makes it feels more
but
like that environment.
It also works thematically because you have the thing Pattinson literally wants is the light, and you also have like stuff such as dirt and oil and mud and all this gross shit, literally shit at some points. So it's like the overall theme is light and dark, and everything kind of falls in that gray area. So being able to literally have everything be extreme black and extreme, I think it works like really well thematically. It reinforces a lot of the themes.
It enhances it more when it's in black and white than in color, because there's a lot more challenging like aspects to think about. And I think when it comes to like the horror element about this movie, it works so much better. There's just it's just more terrifying than if it would be in just color.
And it's also, you have when you film in such a small aspect ratio, you also have to have good cinematography, because basically everything has to be shot for center of the frame, because there is only center of the frame. And that, I think everything works really well. I think this is a very, like, from literally just the aesthetics point, you have really good cinematography, all this, you know, something that can very easily be like, oh, it's artsy and film housey for no reason, like black and white in this aspect ratio. I think everything has a justification for being there. Yeah. And it's edited really well. This movie's paced like phenomenally, because it's this slow descent into madness. It's a very slow burn movie. And very good movie. It's a very well put together movie.
It's well thought of. And I feel comfortable and not pretentious when I say the cinematography was really good. But yeah, let's talk about how funny it was, because it was hilarious.
You like me lobster, don't you?
But yeah, Dafoe is just, his whole character is just whack. Like, he's very already outlandish as a whole, because of how many years he's worked at the lighthouse, all the stuff that he's believed throughout the years of working at the lighthouse, and so forth. They
have very interesting character dynamics, because they are basically lying to each other
Yeah.
the whole time.
They're both bad people.
Yeah.
Like, both of them.
Like William Dafoe, well, you know, there's nothing, everything is gray. There is nothing that is definitive about this movie.
Absolutely.
But you get the sense that Dafoe is a crazy person that likes to drive people mad and is, you know, in his logbook about Robert Pattinson, lying about him, saying he's doing a terrible job at everything, and might have actually driven the last guy to have Robert Pattinson's job to kill himself, or if not, be murdered by William Dafoe. But Pattinson literally has a stolen identity.
Yeah.
Like, he literally, I don't remember if he killed the guy, but he found a guy that was dead, and then he was like, I will be this man.
Yeah, it's not, like, confirmed whether or not he did do it, but his descent into madness towards the end, it confirms more of the theory that he most likely killed them.
How violent he is at the end of the movie kind of can support the idea that he murdered someone in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about Robert Pattinson jerking off?
Well, okay, so number one, like, was I a Twilight person? No. This movie redefines him as a whole because he has some masturbation scenes that are so violent, but yet they just leave me speechless. And I was just telling Dan today that I could not stop thinking about it while I was at work. And I'm like,
you want to know something fun about that scene?
What?
That was the first scene they shot on the first day.
No way! Oh my god! Yeah!
And I think Robert Eggers was like, he did a good job.
I am Team Edward.
So I'm thinking, I think today, like, Gen Zs, the Zoomers will be like, this guy's jerking off to a statue? How weird. You work with what you got.
I mean, absolutely. You got some titties on a toy, boom. Some people work off magazines, some people work off, like, anything. But, oh man, I was just gonna say something. But yeah, this movie's just really good. Probably one of the best of this year. Like, hands down.
I mean, what else came out this year? Like, we haven't seen
a lot.
We haven't seen Parasite yet, but that's like
Parasite, yeah.
Like, this is definitely going to be a year in which, like, you look back on and go like, oh fuck, Ari Aster, Robert Eggers, and Jordan Peele all had their second movie come out this year, and they're all good.
Yeah. Like,
it's and influential on the genre. Like, these kind of movies, I feel like, will have an impact on how people create horror movies going forward.
And then this one of the most common themes in, like, horror is the isolation and the drive to madness because of isolation.
Especially we mainly do a Twilight Zone podcast, and that's, like, Rod Serling's, like, favorite shit to write about.
It's perfect.
Is isolation.
But it's such a good, I just wouldn't think, like, oh, 2 lighthouse keepers, but it makes sense. I mean, it was based on, like,
yeah, it was loosely.
It was based on a loosely based.
It was loosely based on a real story of, there was 3 lighthouse keepers that were doing their job, and when the boat came to get them, no one was there. And there was journal entries about how there was a really heavy storm, but there wasn't actually any storm, like, that happened. Mm-hmm. So there's just a mystery about what actually happened to these men. Did they, like, fight each other and fall off a rock? Did they get abducted by aliens? Did a sea god eat them? We don't know. And that's just kind of the fun, especially, like, the sea is such, like,
that's the biggest mystery.
It's so interesting because it's right next to all of us. It's most of the world, and we just still don't know much about it. So it's always, like, this really cool thing to set, like, folklore and mystery and legends about.
Even, like, when stuff like Finding Nemo, when you start going in, like, darker crevices of the sea, it's terrifying because you're gonna see stuff, probably creatures you've never heard of or even remotely discovered. Or this kind of always this movie reminds me of, like, the Bermuda Triangle vibes, where you get in there and then you disappear and nobody ever hears from you.
And what the wild thing, right? Because this movie is so gray and there's clear connections you can make, but they don't have to be the connections. At the end of the day, this could just be 2 dudes who killed each other because they went crazy because they were far away from society. I mean, we got a steak in the oven. What else you got? We can run through.
Nothing. I guess my main bullet points is make it more gay. I love mermaid vagina. I mean, Robert Pattinson just pounding it was great. And again, just the overall, like, besides like those like comments, the overall movie's like one of the best of the year. I absolutely love it.
It's extremely well crafted. It is everything from the aspect ratio to black and white to the editing to the pacing to the acting to the writing. It's got everything that a good movie should be. And I think it comes out at the right time to get like Oscar buzz. I don't think it'll win anything.
I want one horror movie. I mean, I know Jordan Peele's like Get Out, like he won it for writing and stuff, but Midsommar, like, come on.
I'd be curious because, like, you know, Toni Collette got robbed that one year for acting.
Damn, she really did.
So it's like I just feel like the Oscars hate horror movies, so I don't really see this getting noms. I mean, Pattinson and Dafoe can both get acting and supporting acting roles,
Dafoe has deserved it for the longest time.
Like, I would love to see them like actually be represented because they did amazing work. Like, if fucking Leonardo DiCaprio wins for Huffing and Puffing in the Snow, like Robert Pattinson or William Dafoe are on that level at least.
This is Robert Pattinson like decade. Like this is his like moment, and I'm proud of him. Like as if he's my son. I'm proud of you, but he's gonna kill it. So I'm excited. I'm excited for whenever those two do something.
That was the funny thing where it was like, oh, Robert, did you hear Robert Pattinson's going to be Batman? And there was two crowds. The crowd that is unfamiliar with Pattinson and thought that he just didn't exist since Twilight, and the other crowd that understands he's a really good fucking actor and he just does weird indie movies.
There's a compilation of different accents that he's done throughout his movies, and it's incredible. Like, he's really good. He's well diverse. He like clearly does his fucking research on the specific kind of character.
He's put through the ringer in this movie. Like, again, low budget. I'm sure there's a couple stunts or things that he didn't do, but for the most part, this is everything here is him. William Dafoe is actually having dirt thrown on his face. And
let me tell you something. Dafoe is perfect for this role. He's like a stage actor. He's very theatrical because he has like a very theatrical background. There's
like specific Dafoe moments in which, with the cooking thing, where he says, "Oh, you don't like my cooking," and then Pattinson says no, and then he goes on this 2 to 4 minute monologue of just cursing him to death.
Yeah,
and it's like traditional editing styles, you'd expect like halfway through cut to Pattinson, so you're kind of like refreshed, and then you can go back. You're like, nope, you are locked in. The frame is small. It's only William Dafoe's is only William Dafoe's face with the light like hitting it in the perfect biblical angle. It's just like, and you don't cut. He's delivering that whole line, and you are similar to Pattinson, right? If Pattinson in that moment is just sitting there and he's just being told to his face and he can't leave, and the audience is in the same exact situation, you want to cut because you're like, no, I would like a new thing, please. And the camera and the editing's like, nope, the foe is yelling at you right now. You're going to take it.
That lighting on his face is, I want to just frame it and put it in my, like, I just want to hang it up somewhere. It's so perfect and crisp and terrifying. And
there's another shot of a naked William Dafoe grabbing like Pattinson by the neck and like staring at him, and his eyes are like lights beaming out of him, and that is apparently like literally just the same frame, the same shot of this German painter who also was gay, so adding to that like subtext of gayness. The Lighthouse, subtext of gayness. That's all I got.
Yep. So we'll see you guys next time for the next Twilight Zone podcast episode. And coming up, we'll most likely do a Parasite movie review.
Yep.
We'll see you guys next time.
BSASpod.com. Go see it. Bye.
Bye.